Warren was based on Warren Tasian, who was their next door neighbor. They grew up, I think Warren and Pete are the same age. And he lived down the street from them. So they've known him since they were little kids. And when they did a rewrite on the script, they based my character on him. Physically, we're completely different. Warren's a small guy. He plays Freddie in the movie.
Who's Freddie? You?
As you.
Yeah. Will you marry me?
Just as mere coincidence and luck would have it, a lot of the background that I'd made up in my own mind for Warren the character was truly what Warren the person had gone through. He had some damage from birth. And his mom said it wasn't until he was 5 that he learned to walk. He had to wear the braces and stuff. The character Warren was just sort of an unconscious amalgamation of people that I've known in the course of my life. And even when I made certain choices, I wasn't really aware of where I was taking them from. The only thing I consciously took was I was out shopping with my wife, and I saw this girl with her mom and her sister. And I see her, and she turned her head like this, like it was on a ball pivot. Now, I'd seen people do that before, but I'm sitting there and I'm like trying not to watch. I think, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use that. So that's the only thing that I like consciously took. But the character came together. We had this rehearsal when I first got to Miami with Ben and Cameron and I. And I'd not met those guys yet. And we got together in this conference room with Pete and Bob. We just ran through the piggyback ride scene and the date scene. And everybody's like, oh man, you're so good. And I still didn't feel like, I don't have it yet. I didn't feel comfortable with it. So we were, I was going over to the gym, and I was walking back to my hotel from the gym. And we were staying in Coral Gables, and they didn't have street lights. So it's dark outside. So I start futzing around with different walks. And I kind of made up this history of Warren. Why am I, handicapped? What happened? So I figured, well, it's something that happened at birth, and usually cerebral palsy goes along with any kind of birth brain damage. So I started messing with this kind of CP walk. And all of a sudden, when I had the splayed hip, when that came together, it was like a light bulb. Like, oh, I got it now. Got it now. So we added the head, added the hands, got the walk, and then it was like a light bulb. I could turn it on, turn it off. And luckily, that was the night before we started filming.
Have you seen my wiener?
What?
Have you seen my wiener?
I do this on most of the movies that I do. I have my own little internal jokes that nobody's aware of. I don't tell anybody, but little things that I will do. And what I decided that I was going to do was my little homage to what I considered the great retarded characters from film. And some of them, a couple of things are still in the movie. The one that remains is the keychain at the end. I had them get a rabbit's foot. It was a rabbit's foot keychain. And if you notice, I'm in the background and I'm petting the rabbit. It's just nice and soft. I like soft things. That's Lenny of Mice and Men. I did a bit from Gilbert Grape of Leo. I did a Rain Man gag, and I did a gag from Sling Blade. This is the one that I got caught on. The scene where after I've beaten up Ben, we're trying to think with Marky and with Cam, how are you going to calm me down? When I've done this. So I came up with I said, well, obviously I eat a lot, so food calms me. So let's try, and I said, well, let's get some biscuits. And I got the props guy who put a little mustard on them, and it was completely in the background. It was nothing that was obvious. And Bobby, he noticed it. He comes up and he goes, where did these biscuits and mustard come from? I said, well, I asked props to get them. Hey, what's this sling bag bit? I said, well, it's just a little thing in the background. It's just a little thing. He goes, that's more of a Zucker Brothers movie, not a Fairley Brothers movie kind of gag. So let's not do that. So that was and that was the only thing in the course of the whole movie that either Pete or Bobby went, anything else just, flew. We captured lightning in a bottle. Pete and Bobby know what's funny, and they know in their head what they want. I expected that there would be a lot more controversy about, a broad comedy like that with a retarded character in it. And there was very little backlash. And I think the reason we got away with it and the reason it worked, people completely believed that I was retarded. And I think the biggest success was how she related to me. She didn't treat me with kid gloves. I wasn't her retarded brother. I was her brother. I took a little longer to do certain things, you know, there was a recognition of that, but there was never any embarrassment, there was never any, this is my brother. And you definitely got a sense that she loved me as her brother.
His friends would say, stop whining, they've had enough of that. His friends would say, stop pining, there's other girls to look at. They've tried to set him up with Tiffany and Indigo, but there's something about Mary that they don't know. Mary.
It's been 5, 6 years, something like that, and still to this day I am mostly remembered for my 30-second part and something about Mary. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone places and, you know, someone will know who I am for football, but they'll say, look, my sister, my mom, my grandmother, or whatever is not a football fan, but they love you because of something about Mary. And they've put together something about Mary as well as football, and so now they, you know, they consider themselves fans and stuff like that. And I said, well, we got to always be remembered for something.
Whoa! Whoa! Touchdown!
Hi, Mary.
Brett?
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass. My agent, Bus Cook, must have called me numerous times mentioning a movie in which Fairley Brothers, at the time, none of this really, I'm still trying to win games and all this stuff, and he says, look, you know, if at the end of the season they want you to be in a movie, something about Mary, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I don't know. I just don't have time right now, really even to think about it. So 2 or 3 weeks before the season was over, he said, now look, if you want to do it, there's really no money involved, which I figured that anyway. And he said it was just a brief 30-second, 2-minute spot that I could be a part of. Said, you'll do it after the Super Bowl if you're in it, or after the last game, a week or so later. And I said, okay. So he said, you fly to Miami there for a day, 2 days, and you're done.
Hey, Brett, you said you give me a little autograph right there.
I went, did my spot. Still didn't really know what it was all about. You know, didn't know where my part would show up in the movie. Didn't even really know when the movie was going to come out. And so this was 1st of February, something like that. So when I finally went to the movie with my wife and our, at the time, our only daughter, we were here in Green Bay, and I was watching, and the movie starts, and I'm gradually just kind of creeping down. Had no idea when it was going to show up. And so different scenes were showing up. Ben Stiller in the bathroom, and he got, you know what, caught in the zipper. And I'm looking at my wife, and I'm like, oh my God. We thought it was going to be an okay movie for the kids. Which, you know, it wasn't that bad, but she was asking questions afterwards. Like, what was that all about? What about the hair? And so I was, you know, obviously real nervous because my part was coming up, and finally I said, oh, here it comes. And I'm like at the bottom of my chair. And people in the theater didn't know I was in the theater, but I don't even know if they knew I was in the movie. And they all start clapping and all this stuff. And so like right when it was over, the credits hadn't even started rolling yet, I was up and out. And I haven't seen it since. I was so nervous. You know, I played in front of thousands and thousands of people, but I'm in a movie theater with just 20 or 30 people, and I was so nervous. I said, if these lights turn on, I'm in here. I'm in trouble, so I took off. You know I'll always be true to you.
Oh, shit, this isn't fair.
Acting and being behind the camera, even though I've done it before, I just never felt comfortable. And you know, most people said, man, you look real stiff and nervous and stuff. I said, that's what they wanted me to do, so I was acting. Which is totally BS. Now that was tough. They start playing music and they just dance around. I just don't dance around, you know. They may dance around, I don't dance around. I don't dance, period. I used to do a little moonwalking back in the day, but that's way, way back.
What about Brett Favre? Bruh.
I still get that today. My last name is difficult as it is, but it really is difficult after the movie. I mean, I have people call me Favre and a few other choice words, but that one in particular. When I'm done, I have no desire really to do anything. Everybody says, what are you going to do? Commentating, acting, coaching? I said, nothing. Nothing. Cut grass, play golf, ride my tractor. And that's about it. It doesn't leave much time for anything else.
I don't know. I think anything could be funny. Yeah, there's no limit. I mean, you know, how many times have you been at a funeral and cracked a joke about the dead guy? Excuse me. Sorry. If I could go back in time, I'd choose to live with the dinosaurs. Just because it'd be fun. It's one thing nowadays to live in this culture, and you know, maybe if you're lucky you'll get a drive-by done on you. But imagine the excitement and the adrenaline rush you'll have when there's a T-Rex chasing you, or a Diliptodon nipping at your heels, or you'd come around a corner and unexpectedly run into a Prathamixion Deondis Don. You don't know what they're going to do. Or you stumble on a nest full of Clara Dingle Dongle Dong eggs, and Mother Clara Dingle Dongadon's like unexpectedly returned, and there's you wiggling around in the eggs like a baby mucus child, and suddenly you're in trouble. I mean, that's where I'd go. My favorite dirty word is caramel-covered cheese clit.
Which part do I have to censor out?
Yeah.
Is that a hyphenated word?
No, it's one word, and you usually yell it when someone cuts you off in traffic. Hey, caramel-covered cheese clit. Or if you're really mad, you could say teriyaki twat. But I rarely use that one.
Tus trailers.
But I will.
Visita mi
If you
canal.
cut me off twice, I will. When I was in college, I hung a toaster from the middle of my living room right in the roof. And one day my parents came to visit at my apartment in college, and my mother walked in and she saw the toaster and she said, "Oh, who left the accordion?" Oh, the toaster. She thought it was an accordion at first, but then she caught herself, realized it was a toaster. So I did an animated cartoon where it's this orchestra just warming up, and you cut to all the different guys doing their instruments, and then keep cutting to this toaster just sitting there. No, the accordion just sitting there, and then all of a sudden some guy in the audience stands up and goes, "Hey, who plays the accordion?" And then boing, some toast pops out of the accordion, and then the whole crowd goes, "The toaster!" I'd say the best advice I could give to kids trying to be actors is just do like I did. Down on Melrose Avenue, my acting teachers there, Larry's Actors. All you can act for $40 a month. And he's just, every time I get into trouble, I just remember something he said. He said, "You are an acting monkey. Just do what monkey gotta do." And again, that's Larry's Actors on Melrose. All you can act for $40 a month. But no, it was fun. It was actually, it was a good time. Bobby took his clothes off and did a sumo wrestling dance for me, and Cameron Diaz just sparkled, and Ben pretended he was my father, and Chris Elliott just made me laugh, and Matt Dillon was just sexy, man. That guy's the best. Just cool dude. Oh man, I think the sickest joke I ever did was, God, what was it? I was driving along this highway, and I hit a kid on a bike, and I guess he didn't have a very strong skull cap, and it like peeled open. And as the kid was laying there, I said, "Hey, stupid, where'd you learn to ride a bike? Switzerland?" And I don't know if he heard it or not, because maybe that was pretty sick, I think. The only other person I know with the name Harlan that's spelled the way I have it is Colonel Saunders. People don't know it, but his full name is Colonel Harlan Saunders. So that's pretty good. I'm in good company. 11 herbs and spices.
Well, it was to come do my head cast, my life cast.
Casting session.
I didn't know how much of me we were going to be doing, actually.
That was for
day,
debate.
for sure.
That was open for debate from the very beginning, actually.
Of how much of me you were going to cast?
Yeah, because we had no idea what you looked like. You know.
The more they saw me, the more
Truthfully,
they...
we didn't know. I mean, our only frame of reference for you was Kingpin, which wasn't a really positive sort of thing to look at, you know. So very hard to look at. So we didn't know what to expect. So we were very pleasantly surprised when you walked in the door.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And then we were kind of upset.
To wrap me in plaster.
Well, we were kind of upset though too, because you had breasts, see, and we needed to make some, and they would be in the way. So
then that's right. You had to bind.
Yeah, that was our big hurdle.
And put me in a leotard. And
you were cool about it all though.
I couldn't wait to do it. I mean,
be bound or be leotarded.
Both of those things.
But this would be a totally useless interview.
For me, it was this fantastic experience, and I was so happy to get this part because I didn't think I'd gotten cast. I had already done Kingpin with the Farrellys, and I knew about this movie, and I came in and they had me come in and audition, but it was a whole different character because they didn't know they were shooting in Miami yet. There was nothing about the skin being.
Oh, that's right. You had those glasses.
Glasses, and also I sort of was playing her like a little old. She was supposed to be really old. I had this little leopard skin, little sort of shirtwaist dress I got, and I did this whole characterization, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't hear anything, and I kept reading in the papers that Matt and Cameron had gotten cast, and Ben had gotten cast, and I was sleeping I was still waiting, and I was sleeping with the script under my pillow, and I remember in the morning I woke up, I had Brad had stabbed me in the throat, and my husband said to me, "When are you going to take that thing out from under your pillow?" And I said, "Not till I get the part."
My first time meeting Pete and Bob, I actually met the whole gang like all at once. I had been pulled into their office by J.B. Rogers, the AD, And originally they wanted to talk to somebody about the dogs because I guess there were a lot of animals that were in jokes that were in Kingpin that got cut out because they weren't happy with the way the animals came out. So they were really adamant, Puffy this, Puffy that, Puffy's got to be great. And it was like these 6 guys on the edge of the couch just like, Puffy, Puffy's got to be, you know? And I was like,
Puffy instructions.
okay, got it. Puffy's important. And then I had this whole other list of stuff that we never got to because it was just so, you know, the dog was one of the main characters basically. And so my goal was to make the dog real. And then I thought they would give us a normal looking dog. And they didn't. They gave us that
Border terrier.
Freaky border terrier with the whacked out hairdo. And
like this.
Yeah. So I thought it was sort of like a setup. Like this dog has to be really real and then we're going to give you a cartoon setup. And it was actually, I think the fact that it had so many oddities to like, it had like the underbite and the longer hair on the back with all the frizz and all that stuff. I think all that stuff actually helped us make the fake ones more identifiable and gave us more to work with, which was pretty cool. But we ended up having to build, I mean, I don't know how many. There was the one in the cast, there was the cast for the real dog to wear.
The 2 that went out the window?
Yeah, the ones that went out the window, the one that got set on fire, right. The CPR one with the stomach that blew up, and then I think Ben probably trashed all of them in that one day of shooting. Anything that's going on in one of their scripts, from home, I have to go in another room. I have to find a place where the kids will not be, and I have to go hide, and I have to talk quiet, and I have to go, okay, so you guys, the semen on the ear, is it white? Is it clear? Is it chunky? How long is it? Is it like teardrop shaped, or is it like a big blob? You know, and those are all questions that I really, truly need an answer to, and only they can answer for me. So, and since they don't live down the street, this is kind of a standard thing for me, you know? And it's gotten to the point now where they'll put me on speakerphone because they think my questions are just so funny. But it's stuff that I have to put a price tag on these things.
We were still experimenting in Florida. I mean, the day I got there, the day of the shoot, they had me in prosthetics. With no wig on. I remember coming to lunch, and I was just in all, I was completely with a wig cap and all this, but no wig yet, and just all this, all these prosthetic pieces. And it was very interesting as an actor because you have to, the mobility of your face changes. So you have to sort of over-exaggerate, but without, which is a very fine line for an actor because you never want to be over-exaggerating. And yet in order to make the face pieces really work so you don't look like it's a mask, they have to kind of melt into you a little bit. They have to have some life. So I was trying to get comfortable with that, and I guess everybody thought it was a little too ghastly looking. That it was. I
think the fact that it was bald didn't help that first day either. That was not a good idea. Miss Lin Shaye would go into another room and bind her ample bosom in an ace bandage and then put on a youthful leotard and come springing back to the room, at which point we would take this big honkin' foam thing and glue it over top of the leotard and then blend it in. We blended it in on her collarbone.
Which took a very long time.
Yeah.
3.5 hours to get this really right.
Well, not just the collarbone, but the whole thing.
3.5 hours. He works very slowly.
What? And then the face makeup's blended down onto that. This is blended in the sides. This is actually lined up with her real belly button so that when she moved it would bend in the right spots. And then these were hollowed out and weights were put in them so that they would hang lower and more pendulous.
Yeah, but they were, remember, the weights, if we didn't get this from last time, were 2 condoms filled with 3 little ball bearings that were dipped in KY jelly.
Well, you work with what you get.
And then would give them some life of their own.
And then there's an example here of the final result. Obviously, they would get painted and all that stuff too. So you realize nobody's going to take you seriously while you're talking.
I know. But anyway, I took off. They were glued onto a leotard. I took the leotard off and I threw them in the wastebasket. And we were sort of closing up for the evening. I started to leave, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm going to want those. So I went back and fished them out of the wastebasket. And then I thought, oh man, am I glad I have them. So I had them put into this window box, and there's a little plaque, which you probably can't read, but it says Magda's boobs. And I figure if I'm ever going broke, I can sell them on eBay for probably about 50 grand. But they're not for sale. They're mine.
The thing is, when you do a prosthetic makeup on somebody, you go with extra in case she flips out and says, no, I can't take it, and tears her breasts off and goes running off. Then you can pull another one out of the box, and when she calms down, just put those on. But yeah, and it's like that with anything, like with the dogs or the black eye or the dentures or the fish hook. I mean, there was always a spare of something. And usually when the filming was done and they know they had all the shots they needed, the spares would sort of somehow magically vanish. I think Pete has a snake in his basement with a big Jeffrey Tambor-sized lump in it. And I think Bobby has Puffy, but I'm not sure. And if you're listening to this and you're from Fox Archives, this is one just huge joke, and they really were destroyed a long time ago. It's kind of interesting. No, see, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I know. See,
how many inches was it?
That's one of those things you get on the phone with them and talk about, and you know, you're trying to talk in code and use their lingo from the script. Well, the franks and the beans, and one's above the other, and you know, and we're just like at a certain point, it's like, okay, so you got these skin flaps, and then you got the testicle. And,
was it circumcised?
Oh, we got into all that, you know. How old is he? Does he have pubic hair? Does he not? You know, if it's really pinched, squeezed out of there, do you want veins on it? I mean, these are the conversations I have with these people. They owe me for therapy.
The idea that Magda really didn't ever go out of the house, this idea of wearing house dresses all the time, that she's really a little bit agoraphobic. You know, I've built a whole backstory for her, you know, in terms of that, you know, I had a fictitious husband named Morris. And then Maury died, and you know, when he died, she was kind of lonely, and she sort of would come over to to Mary's all the time. And basically, Mary was her, you know, her two children were Mary and Puffy, and that she had no children of her own. And so the character sort of, this kind of slightly lonely and loving personality, that was I feel something I brought to the character, which I think made her very accessible to people. Because I really didn't think Magda was going to pop like she did. I mean, I thought, oh, I'm part of this fabulous ensemble, and I got great makeup and great, you know, wardrobe, and people will, you know, somewhere remember. And I was so, and I am still so delighted that the impact that she's had on people, that people love her. And so I like to say, well, that was what I brought to her, was the love.
I don't know what she's talking about. No, I was sitting here going, wow, she is so articulate, and I'm just this big...
It could happen anywhere. To anyone. Man's most primal fear.
Oh, no,
and his worst nightmare.
Oh, thanks, doll. Oh, 2 cherries. Oh, thanks, sweetie. You're in my life. Isn't Tina wonderful? And with buns like that, who needs breakfast? Thank you for joining me today. I'm Magda, your hostess. And this, of course, is Puffy. Today, we are going to peek behind the scenes to get the real story of what happened in Mary's bathroom that day. Ow! It's the story of balls, like you have never seen them.
Might be looking right at it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it me, or is it getting hot out here?
No, I was looking at the birds!
That day on the set, everyone was happy.
You know, you're coming into frame, like, just straight here. You know, really let it go. Right.
They were joking and laughing. They were having a great time.
How the hell did you get the beans all the way up there like that?
Amidst all the joviality, I was struck by a thought. Oh my God, what if this had really happened? It was then I decided to do some investigating.
You probably wouldn't want to be ripping it down at all. You probably want to just pack it nice, keep the swelling down. You do not want to go back down.
We got a bleeder!
Once the crown jewels are packed in ice, it's off to the emergency room.
This young man, and it's a man, basic thing is you reassure them that this is minor stuff. If you hold still, I'll get you out of it in a couple of seconds.
Is it the Frank or the beans?
I don't know. It looks like, I think it's a little bit of both.
Next, you would want to find out if it still works. Wouldn't you want to know?
And for that, it's off to the pee-pee doctor.
I think we all know what testicles feel like. They're fairly firm. There wouldn't be any permanent damage, and it should heal very well.
Once you make sure everything is okay down there, then you got to make sure that everything is okay up here.
This is really not something to laugh at. I might, first of all, have him work with a piece of fabric with a zipper just to get used to working it up and down.
It's a very, very difficult trauma.
Now, my next thought is, who was to blame for this tragedy?
Who do you think, Puffy? Was it the zipper or the zippy?
What we're talking about is pain. We have a zipper manufacturer here who has created a piece of equipment that has no safety devices whatsoever.
How the hell did you get the zipper all the way to the top?
It is one thing to talk about it. It is another thing to live it.
I have to pee sitting down. Unlike in the movie, you don't have a really friendly fireman and a really funny police guy that come help you. They weren't funny and they weren't friendly. What, do you guys think this is funny?
Excuse me. It's time for me to get rid of some of my tan lines. You know, this is stuck. This is embarrassing. Pull, pull.